So, I'm going to begin my teaching series. On James. This series is going to be at points in depth, but overall I'm not going to delve too much into the details or the background unless it's helpful for the study. Let's start in James chapter 1, verses 1 through 4. James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes in the dispersion, greetings. Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. And let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. James writes his letter to the Christian Jews spread throughout the world. His introduction is brief and impersonal, probably because his audience is so broad, and he jumps straight into telling his readers what they should be doing as Christians. I think James' purpose, as we're going to see throughout this letter, is about faith in action and why it is important. The first verse, count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds. Over here on the right, you see I have the Greek lexicons pulled up so you can see a little bit of the meaning of these different words. And here's the word trial or temptation, parasmos.
Perasmos.
I think this first verse is meant to assault the reader in a way. It's not a normal mindset to count trials or troubles as a cause for happiness. He's using a word that means something like testing or like literally a trial in a court. This is cluing us into the goal in the letter, as even at the time this was a common way to refer to troubles in life, viewing them as a kind of test of character ability. He is claiming that these troubles which test us are actually a cause for joy somehow. But James quickly begins his argument as to why his readers should have this mindset. For you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. So, steadfastness, you can see, is something like endurance, perseverance, a patient enduring, staying, hope, almost. This is apparently something to be desired, the ability to endure or persevere through difficulty. But he goes on one step further to explain what this steadfastness is for. He says, and let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. So let me look these words up for you here. He gives two main things that steadfastness produces: perfection and completeness. You can see perfect is something like mature, complete, perfect. And if we take a step back, we might see that the idea of perfection is that thing that all people would want. But also, all people usually realize that it simply isn't attainable. If we really aim at perfection always, we will probably always fail and end up very discouraged. James is offering this impossible goal as a natural outcome for enduring trials. Of course, the perfection that James speaks of is likely different from what many of us would have in mind when we think of what it would be like to be perfect. But he will explain what he means by perfection later. The point now is to realize that this is a very desirable and attainable goal. The second word he uses here, completeness. Whole, complete, intact, blameless, entire. And he puts that along with lacking in nothing. And I think these are complementary words. They're meant to say two parts of the same thing. Now, just imagine for a moment what it would be like to lack nothing. Most people suffer terribly because of lack. Lack of love, lack of money, lack of energy, lack of hope, lack of happiness. James is offering fulfillment as a realistic goal, becoming a complete person who doesn't lack anything, doesn't need anything. He will, of course, further explain this also, but this is where we must start if we are to grasp the strength of his opening sentences.